Hello everybody. London was always bustling, never quiet, full of car honks, people rushing by, and skyscrapers cutting through the grey sky. In the midst of this city that never sleeps, a young man named Adam felt incredibly alienated. Although he had everything one could want, a stable job as a manager at a large company, plenty of friends, and a social life that was never lacking, he felt that something was missing. His days seemed to revolve in the same circle. As soon as he got home, his fatigue never really went away. He felt empty. Even as he walked along the colourful Oxford Street, he felt like a stranger in his own life. He began to ask himself, what is the purpose of this life? What does all these achievements mean if the heart still feels empty? One autumn day, as the London sky grew darker and the rain began to fall, Adam felt the need to get some fresh air. He walked toward the nearby park, avoiding the noise of the city that always grabbed his attention. In his sluggish steps, his eyes caught sight of a man sitting on a park bench, with a small bag beside him. The man was looking at him, smiling peacefully. There was no anxiety, just calm. Adam paused for a moment. "What are you doing?" he asked, more to himself than the man. The man, whose name turned out to be Ahmed, lifted his small bag and unfolded a piece of paper inside. "These are some books I brought, about Islam. I just wanted to talk, if you don't mind." Adam, who had only intended to take a stroll, felt intrigued. For no clear reason, he sat beside Ahmed. What he thought would be an ordinary meeting, an ordinary conversation, turned out to be the beginning of a journey that would change his life. They began to talk. About life, about work, about the world that felt increasingly heavy and full of demands. Ahmed shared his faith, how Islam taught him to seek peace and purpose in life, how to live each day with a heart full of tranquility and compassion for others. Adam listened attentively, though somewhat skeptical. "So, do you feel better after embracing this religion?" he asked, a bit doubtful. Ahmed nodded. "It's not just about feeling better, Adam. Islam taught me to see the world differently, to seek meaning in everything, not just in material achievements. Islam taught me to never stop questioning, to keep searching for the truth." Adam felt something unfamiliar stir within him. It was as if Ahmed's words were filling the emptiness he had always felt. However, he was still uncertain. But isn't all of this, too, different? How can life change just like that because of religion? "Nothing changes just like that, Adam," Ahmed answered calmly. "Change begins in the heart. If you seek it wholeheartedly, you will find a peace you never expected." That day, their conversation continued until the sun began to set. Adam went home with his mind full of questions, a curiosity growing stronger within him. He felt as though he was standing at the threshold of an open door, even though he wasn't fully ready to step through it. Months after that meeting, Adam still felt there was something unresolved within him. He began to learn more about Islam. He looked for books, read articles, watched lectures, and occasionally he met with Ahmed, who always greeted him with a warm smile and words full of wisdom. One evening, as the cold wind blew through his apartment window, Adam sat surrounded by books, reading about the life of Prophet Muhammad, about the teachings of Islam that emphasized peace, simplicity, and love. He was stunned as he read each sentence, as if something within him that had been tightly closed for so long was now opening up. Adam's heart began to feel more at ease. There was something that connected him to the world in a way he had never experienced before. One day, as he was in the middle of a busy office day, he received a text message from Ahmed inviting him to come to the nearby mosque. "Come. Nothing will change if you haven't tried." Adam didn't know why, but he knew that he had to go. On that bright Friday morning, with his heart pounding, Adam entered the mosque for the first time. The atmosphere inside was so different from the outside world. There was tranquility, a profound peace. When the adhan sounded, something within him felt as if it had connected with the entire universe. In the midst of the calm room, Adam heard words he had never heard before, words that seemed to open his eyes to a new world. And at that moment, he knew he could not turn back. He had to take another step forward. On another morning, with a heart more at peace, Adam recited the Shahada. He embraced Islam, not out of compulsion, but because he had found the peace he had been searching for. That was the beginning of Adam's long journey, a journey that changed the way he saw the world and led him to a deeper search. Yet, as Ahmed often said, the true journey has just begun. After Adam recited the Shahada in the quiet mosque, he felt as if he had opened a door to a new world, a world filled with peace, but also full of unexpected challenges. Embracing Islam was not the end of his journey, but rather the beginning of a much longer and more winding path. In the first few weeks as a Muslim, Adam began to feel changes within himself. He started praying 5 times a day, reading the Quran, and striving to live a simpler, more meaningful life. Yet, beneath the peace he felt, there was an underlying tension in his mind. The outside world, the society he had left behind in exhaustion and confusion, now felt increasingly foreign. The first challenge came when Adam reunited with his old friends. They didn't understand the change that had come over him. "What do you mean, Adam?" asked David, his close friend from university. "You've changed, bro. Why the drastic change all of a sudden?" "Islam, sure, but why go so far?" Adam tried to explain, but the more he tried, the more confused they seemed. "You know, I still respect other religions, but you've become more closed off, Adam." "Is something wrong?" asked Sarah, another close friend, looking at him with a face full of concern. At each gathering, Adam felt more isolated. He felt that the friends who once understood him no longer understood the path he had chosen. There was awkwardness in their conversations, as if he was no longer part of their world. Sometimes, Adam wondered if he had made the wrong decision. However, every time he bowed his head and faced the Qibla in his prayers, his heart told him otherwise. He knew this was the right path. In such moments, Adam sought comfort in the mosque. There, he met people who didn't judge, who didn't question his choices. One of them was Farid, a man from Morocco who had lived in England for many years. Farid was a wise and calm figure. He knew many people from various backgrounds and often served as a guide for newcomers like Adam. One day, after the prayer, Adam approached Farid in a corner of the mosque. "Farid, I feel more and more estranged from my friends. They don't understand, they're asking questions, some of them are even distancing themselves. I feel like I've lost the world that used to be around me." Farid smiled gently and invited Adam to sit. "You know, Adam, this journey isn't an easy one. Many people won't understand what you're going through now. But trust me, what's important is how steadfast you are in your faith. Sometimes, when we choose the right path, we must be prepared for the challenges that come." Farid continued, "Here, in this mosque, you are not alone. This community is your new family. We've all felt the same way, being questioned, looked at strangely, even mocked at times. But we don't stop there. We fight together." Adam began to feel more at ease hearing Farid's words. Gradually, he started to get to know the Muslim community around the mosque better. Though at first, he felt awkward, over time he started to feel an incredible closeness with them. The mosque was no longer just a place for worship, but also a place for sharing, learning, and growing together. However, outside the mosque, the challenges didn't stop. Islam was growing in the UK, but many people still viewed the religion with suspicion. Moreover, with the growing international tensions, Muslims were often the target of prejudice and hatred. On the streets, in public places, Adam occasionally felt sharp stares or overheard unfriendly whispers. One day, while waiting at the bus stop after the Isha prayer, a young man, seemingly angry, approached him. "What are you doing here?" the man asked in a harsh tone. "You know, your religion causes problems in the world. Don't bring those ideas here." Adam was taken aback, but he tried to remain calm. He knew that his reaction would be crucial, whether he would follow his anger or maintain his composure. "I just want to live in peace," Adam replied in a steady voice. "Islam teaches peace, and I'm just trying to live my life according to that teaching." The man snorted and walked away, leaving Adam standing there, reflecting. Although nothing could change the fact that prejudice and hatred still existed, Adam felt that each time he faced such a test, he grew stronger. Islam was not just about belief, but about how to show good conduct even when confronted with hatred. Days passed, and the Muslim community around Adam continued to grow. At the mosques, seminars and religious discussions became more and more crowded. People came from all corners of the city to learn more about Islam. There, Adam met Sarah, an English woman who had also recently embraced Islam. Like Adam, Sarah felt alienated from her old world after deciding to follow the same path. They shared stories, learned together, and supported each other. Amid these challenges, Adam finally understood what Farid had said: "Here, in this community, we don't just share knowledge about religion, but also share the strength to face a world full of uncertainty." Adam now felt that, even though the outside world sometimes didn't understand, he had found a safe place, a place full of love, a place that was always ready to welcome him back with open arms. Even though the path he walked was full of challenges, he knew he would never walk alone. Years passed, and Adam felt himself growing ever more steadfast in his faith. However, while his heart was at peace, the world around him did not always align with the changes he had undergone. The Islam he had embraced was growing in the UK, but sometimes this growth brought new challenges. A society increasingly open to diversity also found itself facing anxiety and misunderstanding from different sides. But within the mosques, which were becoming more and more crowded, Adam felt a greater strength, a community that supported one another, not only talking about religion but also sharing life itself. At Regent's Park Mosque, a place he now frequently visited, the number of congregants was growing. On Fridays, the mosque became so packed that it could no longer accommodate everyone who came for the Friday prayer. During Ramadan, this scene became even more pronounced. Adam, who was used to arriving a few minutes before prayer, was now forced to stand in line outside the mosque, waiting patiently until the doors were opened. The large mosque, which had once seemed spacious, now could only accommodate a small fraction of the attendees. Often, those who arrived late had to pray outside the mosque, on the streets. One night, after performing the Taraweeh prayers during Ramadan, Adam stood outside the mosque and looked around him. The street in front of the mosque, which was usually filled with cars and pedestrians, was now covered with neatly laid prayer mats on the asphalt. Thousands of worshippers prayed that night with deep devotion, bowing their heads, prostrating, and standing together, even though they were separated only by the indistinct lines of the street. Adam felt deeply moved by the sight. This is true togetherness, he thought. Those who came were not just fulfilling a religious duty, they were strengthening one another in a peace of heart that could only be found here, on the narrow streets in the middle of a bustling city. But even though the sight was beautiful, challenges came with the growing number of worshippers. Some began to feel uncomfortable with this phenomenon. Some believed that praying on the streets was inappropriate in a modern and advanced city. Occasionally, there were those who began to sneer, viewing those praying outside the mosque as a disruption to the city's traffic. One day, while Adam was standing outside the mosque, he heard a loud voice from a man passing by in his car. "Hurry up! The street is not a place for prayer," the man shouted, cursing with an annoyed expression. Though not surprised, Adam felt uncomfortable. However, he tried to stay calm. "Maybe he doesn't understand," he murmured to himself. On the other hand, there were also people who viewed this phenomenon with deep respect. This was how Sarah, a friend who had now become an important part of Adam's faith journey, felt. Sarah, who had recently embraced Islam, was deeply moved when she saw Muslims from all backgrounds standing in the streets to pray together. "Seeing this really changed my perspective on life," Sarah said one night after prayer. "Many people won't even leave the comfort of their homes, but here, people are willing to pray in the streets because they are seeking peace, not recognition." Adam smiled, feeling that Sarah was beginning to understand the essence of what he had been searching for. Islam teaches us not to rely on the praise of others. We don't pray to show the world something, we pray to draw closer to God. So, whether we pray in the streets or in a crowded mosque, it's all part of our journey. However, even as the Muslim community continued to grow and develop, the difficulties faced by Muslims in the UK did not always cease. Behind the busyness of life, there were still challenges that arose. One night, after the Isha prayer, Adam and Sarah sat together outside the mosque, talking about the challenges they faced. "Sometimes I feel like I don't know how to deal with the looks from people who don't understand," Sarah said softly. "They see us as different, and sometimes that makes us feel alienated." Adam nodded, understanding how Sarah felt. I get it. This world isn't always easy. But we have this community, we support each other, we remind each other. Islam teaches us to stay strong even when there are obstacles. Even in difficulties, we can find strength. At that moment, Adam realized that even though the mosques were becoming more crowded and praying in the streets had become a common sight, it was not just about space and place for worship. It was a symbol of the steadfastness of Muslims who, though often regarded as strangers, stood tall and prayed with confidence despite the challenges they faced. Days went by, and even though the number of Muslims in the UK continued to rise, doubts and misunderstandings still lingered. Yet, Adam felt certain that every step taken by Muslims in the UK, whether inside the mosque or on the streets, was part of a greater journey towards peace. And in the prayers offered on the streets, between the towering skyscrapers, Adam rediscovered the true meaning of his existence. In their togetherness, on those challenging streets, they were not just praying. They were also strengthening one another, embracing each other, and proving that Islam was a religion of peace, wherever they were. Time passed, and despite the many challenges that lay ahead, the Muslim community in the UK continued to grow. Adam, now more mature in his faith, felt that while the challenges persisted, he was never alone. The community he had encountered at the beginning of his journey had become his new family. The mosques, once filled with anxiety, were now filled with hope and unity. Challenges for Muslims still existed. However, Adam was now better equipped to face the outside world with a wiser attitude. He began to engage in various social and dawah activities, striving to show the broader society the true peace that Islam holds. He knew that changing perceptions was not an easy task, but each step taken was part of a larger process. One morning, after the Subh prayer, Adam stood outside the mosque with Sarah, watching the bustle around them. "We've come a long way, Sarah," Adam said with a wide smile. "We're now not just a part of the Muslim community, but a part of the wider British society." Sarah smiled and nodded. "Yes, and this is just the beginning. We're not only talking about religion, but also about living together with love, no matter our backgrounds." Along the bustling city streets, Adam saw people walking with lighter steps. They may not fully understand Islam, but they were now beginning to open themselves to diversity. Of course, there were still prejudices and challenges, but Adam felt that these small changes were significant. He knew this journey would never truly be over, yet he felt more confident. Islam in the UK, once hidden, had now found its place within society. The mosques, once overcrowded, had grown into cultural and educational centers that engaged more people. Prayers once held in the streets were now more often performed peacefully inside newly built mosques, but Adam never forgot the moments when he and thousands of other Muslims prayed together on the streets, proving that their faith was greater than just the place. As time passed, Adam realized that this journey of faith was not only for himself but for those who came after him, for the Muslims in the UK who continued to grow, for the future generations, who would walk with steady feet, united in diversity and peace.